Hey everybody. So we're back in the Flat Earth Chicken House for a video. It's not super cold down here, so I can sit here for a little while. Boy, it was really cold recently, so I didn't want to come down and sit in the cold. That's why I did that one in the selfie, one in the living room and one in the truck. But this is a kind of a flat Earth topic, so we're down in the Flat Earth Chicken House. And here's the flat earth chickens. Here's a flat earth rooster. We got flat earth white chickens, flat earth barred rocks. We got those black ones, some Americanas are flat earth chickens. These are all flat earth chickens. And we got the flat earth dog here. So anyway, this is, in the flat earth chicken house, I just got to see that radio hanging there. I usually have the radio on, droning along. It kind of keeps the chickens calm, and I think at night it helps keep the varmints from prowling around. I close the door so they're kind of locked in, but I like to keep the varmints at bay when possible. So yeah, so when I have the radio on, the only station I get that's clear, which is, otherwise it's like rock and roll music, and I'd rather have the chickens listening to the monotone of NPR, and sometimes they play classical music, so they listen to NPR. So they get the real kind of liberal chicken brainwashing. As you know, I don't believe in any of that stuff. It's all a big puppet show, so if, if I could get Rush Limbaugh and stuff on a clear channel, they might have the right-wing brainwashing instead of the left-wing brainwashing. It's all a puppet show. But they listen to NPR here, and they're always pushing this climate change stuff. Of course, you never hear anything about chemtrails and geoengineering. It's always about CO2 this and CO2 that, and they got some crazy ideas. That's now they're bringing out the geoengineering, even though they've been doing it. And if you look up in the sky, you see them doing it like every day. But now they're going to start pushing it for it's going to block the sun. It's a good idea because it'll cool the global warming down. But then they also have this other stupid thing. I think they're already doing this, is where they store CO2 somehow in these big tanks. I don't know how they get it in there. They just kind of collect it from the factories. I mean, it's so ridiculous when you start to think about it, that they're going to store the CO2 so it doesn't go in the atmosphere. People eat this stuff right up. I mean, it's just really crazy. I was listening to NPR this morning, and they were talking about the best science stories of the year, and it's just all about outer space and just ridiculous crap. Excuse my semi-bad language there, but I was thinking about this, the flat Earth. I still check into the flat Earth stuff some. I kind of, once it's flat, what's the point? But so according to the globe heads and to the globe scientists, space is a vacuum, and yet we have an atmosphere that's being polluted by CO2. Somehow the atmosphere doesn't get sucked up into this infinite vacuum of space, which any common sense will tell you got to have a barrier in between two different pressure zones or types of gases for them not to mix. High pressure and low pressure, they're going to equalize without a barrier. Something's going to happen. You can't make a vacuum seal without a jar. But according to them, I guess the gravity holds the atmosphere on, and actually it makes it spin right around with the Earth at 1,000 miles an hour. All the air spins right around it. But then also, I guess we can have wind and stuff is powerful enough to overcome the spin. But most of it, I guess, spins perfectly, and then the wind is extra because of the pressure. And none of it makes any sense at all if you look at it scientifically. But I'm thinking, well, if this is the case, and then there is a big vacuum up here, and we're all worried about this CO2 that we're storing it in buildings and tanks now. Why can't we rig up? Because apparently, we have satellites that are geo-stable orbits that just kind of hover above the Earth, and the orbital gravity lets them kind of the orbital mechanics of the gravity lets them just kind of circle around the Earth without getting sucked down in. But they don't get sucked out into the vacuum, but they don't get sucked down to the gravity. Well, if they're so worried about the CO2, we got this great big vacuum of outer space up there. We've got the satellites that orbit around. Why can't we just suck the CO2 up into space somehow or another? You know, maybe we could run a long pipe down. I guess, well, you know, then you do need the barrier between the gases. Maybe some big fans, some big pipes hanging down from the satellites down into the atmosphere so that the vacuum will take effect at the one end of the pipe. And then we just vacuum up the CO2. Vacuum up, you know, all the pollution. We can just let the vacuum of space suck it out. Maybe some big fans, you know, at a certain altitude. You know, just figure it out that way, because apparently, you know, it's so bad we have to store it in tanks. Oh, here you go. How about suck it into the tanks, and then take the tanks up in these big rockets that they have all the time, going up into space, and you know, satellites and everything. Why can't we just take those tanks up into space, open them up, let the vacuum suck the CO2 out, and then bring them back down, fill them up with CO2 again? It could be a whole new industry. You know, Elon Musk could get involved, and NASA, of course, you know. Be awesome. It could suck some more money out of the taxpayers to fund the great CO2 vacuum into outer space. I think it's a great idea. I think it's an awesome idea, you know, because obviously there's too much CO2, and obviously there's a big vacuum right up there. It's just, you know, a couple miles we could get up there. So, I don't know. What do you think, you guys? Is that a good idea? Should I, like, approach NASA? Maybe they just haven't thought of it yet. You know, sometimes these great ideas just are right in front of our faces all the time. Like I say, maybe a big, you know, some big, like, pipes, you know, like drainage pipes, you know, like plastic. Of course, well, then, you know, if you make plastic, you're going to be creating more CO2, and plastic, you know, is bad, so maybe we have to make a certain type of recyclable plastic. That would be, yeah, see, there you go. Recyclable plastic, big pipes, like sewer pipes or the, you know, drainage pipes that go under their own culvert, like culvert-style pipes. Suspend them up from the orbits. Let them just orbit up there around, like with the satellites, and have the one end down into the CO2. Maybe pipe them right down into the tanks. I don't know, something like that. I haven't figured out all the fine details yet of how that would work, but apparently, since we have a vacuum existing right next to an atmosphere without a barrier, sucking our whole atmosphere away, we just have to get that CO2 up a little bit more, and then the vacuum will take over, because, you know, I guess, you know, when they're in a space station up there, they can't open the door, because all the air will get sucked out. So there must be, at some point, the vacuum's going to take over and be able to suck everything out. But I guess right now, you know, the atmosphere, the gravity's holding the atmosphere down just right. So the atmosphere moves around with the planet, spins with the planet. But the CO2, you know, is that's building up, the CO2 is creating a barrier. You know, it's a greenhouse, so it's you know, it's kind of complicated, but it seems like, you know, there's such geniuses up there at NASA, such geniuses in the college universities, and these scientists that got it all figured out about orbital mechanics and, you know, outer space and the planets and the sun. Everything is trillions of billions of miles away, but can't figure out how to get rid of the CO2, which is so terrible. Even though, you know, plants and everything need it, but I don't know. It's just got my brain kind of percolating a little bit about this big problem of global warming that's so terrible. You know, and I don't think those vapor trails behind the planes are contributing at all. You know, that's just water vapor. You know, crisscross the sky all day long, and just makes clouds. Nothing wrong with all those clouds around. Kind of weird, flat-looking pink clouds. Those are all normal, just nothing to do with all that water vapor coming out of the jet planes. Right, Zora? What do you think? Yes, you're very cute. All right, well, that's my thoughts for today. Let me know what you think. Any of you trolls that want to come on here, we'll entertain you for a little while. I'd welcome all the scientific, anybody scientific with some globe Earth science that wants to talk about how this could all work. Maybe some climate scientists could come on and discuss this with us. you know, if it gets ridiculous, I'll just start deleting stuff. But we'll entertain some trolls for a while. I think if I title this right with enough flat Earth stuff, the trolls will come on. They usually do. When I do flat Earth stuff, I usually end up deleting them. But yeah. So what do you think? Suck the CO2 right up into the giant vacuum of space. Ugh. Alright, well, I thought you guys might want to see the flat Earth chickens. I'm getting cold. Go outside here and take a look. Yep, they're all out getting a little sun. Like I say, it's a little bit warmer today. It's still probably like 20 something right now, but we got real cold weather coming. I don't know if this glare is going to show up on the camera here. But yeah, we're back to normal here in Vermont. Cold weather, snow. More snow coming tonight. This guy's taking a little sun bath here in a concrete slab there. So, that's about it for today. Got the flat Earth chicken house, my flat Earth truck. So, yeah, I'm surprised there aren't any of those water jets with the water vapor trails behind them. Not one to be seen. I saw a few earlier when I was driving, but this is a rare day. But they're talking about more snow tonight, so I bet this afternoon they'll start up heavy. We got to make sure, you know, they're probably right out in front of the front right now, laying it all down thick. And they'll be here before long. Guaranteed if it's going to snow tonight. They're talking after midnight it's going to start snowing, so I'm sure all the tank sprayers are out right in front of the front, laying it down, working their way east here. All right. Hope you guys have a good day. Let me know what you think about my good idea. So we'll talk to you soon.